Madam Presiding Member, I make that 10 o'clock.
Thank you, Chris. Before we begin this morning, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank members for wearing sashes and rosettes today in recognition of the anniversary of Votes for Women. This symbolic gesture honours the courageous individuals who fought tirelessly for women's suffrage and reminds us of the importance of equal representation in our democracy. It is fitting that we mark this milestone together as a council, continuing their legacy through our service and commitment to inclusion and equality for all. Thank you, members. Bore da, croeso, good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to this hybrid meeting of council. This council meeting is being broadcast live over the internet and will be available to view online now and in the future. We welcome the use of the Welsh language at meetings. I've had no request for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Members in the chamber, please be aware that we're all on camera, and may be visible on screen when people around you are speaking. And please remember to speak clearly into your microphones. Members participating remotely, can you please refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raised hand icon to indicate when you want to speak. Please remember to keep your microphones muted when you're not talking. May I remind members that as per the statutory guidance made under Section 4 of the Local Government Wales Measure 2011 and our formally adopted hybrid meeting policy, any member attending a meeting remotely must be able to be seen and heard by members and officers who are attending the meeting, as well as the members of the public viewing the meeting. So can I ask you all, please, to use your cameras for the duration of this meeting? Thank you. Moving on to the agenda, can I ask members to agree that agenda item 14, the Annual Report Governance and Audit Committee, is considered as the first business item, which is after agenda 8 on the leader's announcement? Everyone in agreement with that? Thank you. And can I also inform you that agenda item 15, the Constitutional Amendment Statement of Accounts and Annual Governance Statement Approval, and Appendix 5, page 311, this item is to be deferred and there's no discussion today. Thank you, members. Agenda item 1 is attendance. Democratic Services will be making a note of members' attendance in the meeting, but should you lose connection, could you possibly leave a comment in the chat bar on your return to ensure that this is picked up? Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. Dominique, do we have any apologies, please?
I've had apologies from councillors Nick Byrne, Giles Davis and Joe Gordon.
Thank you. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Darragh Harris, Monitoring Officer and Assistant Legal Officer. Have you any advice for members, please?
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. With regard to agenda item number 6, receipt of pensions, Councillor Rose Seaborn wishes to declare a personal interest as she has been assisting with the production of that petition that's been presented today. So if I could ask Councillor Seaborn, Presiding Member, to confirm that, please.
I can confirm that. Thank you.
Thank you. With regard to agenda item number 13, which is the Wales Pension Partnership Local Government Pension Scheme, the following members wish to declare a personal interest as they are members of the Greater Gwent Torfaen Pension Fund. So when I call your name, members, if you could confirm your interest. So firstly, Councillor Fiona Cross.
Confirm.
Thank you. Councillor Sue Morgan.
Confirm.
Councillor Stephen Evans.
Yeah.
Councillor David Williams.
Confirm.
Councillor Norma Parish.
Yes.
Councillor Jane Watkins.
Yes, I confirm.
Councillor Janet Jones.
Correct.
Councillor Rose Seaborn.
Confirm.
Councillor Peter Jones.
Confirmed.
Councillor Colette Thomas.
Confirm.
Councillor Caroline Price. Councillor Nathan Ewell.
Yeah, confirm.
Councillor Amanda Owen.
Confirm.
Councillor John James.
Confirm.
Councillor John Horler.
Confirm.
Councillor Gaynor James.
Confirm.
Councillor Richard Clark.
Confirmed.
Councillor Carl Gordon,
Confirm.
Councillor Stuart Ashley.
Confirm.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. And the leader, I understand the leader, which is very interesting.
Yeah, confirm.
Thank you, leader. I'm not aware of any other. Oh, Councillor
Councillor Nicola,
Thank you.
are there any other declarations of interest anywhere?
Apologies, Madam Presiding Member. I've got Councillor Alan Slade online and Councillor Elizabeth Haynes.
Councillor Alan Slade?
Yes, I'm a member of the Greater Gwent pension scheme, so I'd like to declare that interest, personal interest.
Thank you. Sorry, Chris, who was the other one?
Councillor Haynes.
Councillor Elizabeth Haynes, sorry.
And the same declaration, please, for me.
Thank you very much, members. Agenda item 4 is the confirmation of the council minutes on the 10th of the 6th, 2025, starting on page 5 of your agenda. Members, could you possibly state whether you have anything to raise in relation to these minutes? If not, I will take them as approved. Take those as approved, please. Agenda item 5, update on actions. Members, the update on what has been done to implement our previous decisions start on page 39 of the agenda. Could you possibly indicate whether you have any questions or comments? Members, do you agree to note the update on actions then, please? Thank you. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Agenda item 6 is the receipt of petitions. We have one petition today. The petition is in relation to support for the redevelopment of Fairwater Square. On behalf of the Fairwater Square Regeneration Campaign, I'd like to invite Mark Ward-Jones to present the petition, please. Thank you, Mark. You press the red button to speak.
Thank you. To Councillor Joe Gordon, Executive Member for Regeneration, Councillor Dave Daniels, Executive Member for Adult Services and Housing, and Cwmbran Futures Board. We, the undersigned, call upon Torfaen County Borough Council, Bronavon Community Housing, Cwmbran Futures Board and stakeholders to support the redevelopment of Fairwater Square into a safe, accessible and vibrant community hub. This much-needed transformation will improve the area for residents, businesses and visitors alike, while addressing key community concerns. The purpose of the petition. Fairwater Square has the potential to be a thriving centre for local community, but currently it faces issues such as antisocial behaviour, limited accessibility and outdated infrastructure. We urge the local authority and partners to invest in the redevelopment of the site to create a space that meets modern housing, commercial and community needs, while fostering a sense of safety and inclusion. The key objectives of redevelopment. Number 1, to enhance safety and aesthetics, to reduce antisocial behaviour by improving lighting, security and overall environmental design, and to upgrade public services, public spaces with well-maintained landscaping, seated areas and improved walkways. 2, improve accessibility for all. Ensure easy access for elderly and disabled residents by implementing smooth pathways, ramps and safe crossings. Also to enhance public transport links and pedestrian-friendly routes. 3, develop modern housing while retaining essential amenities. To introduce high-quality, affordable housing that caters for local demand, and to preserve and upgrade essential amenities such as shops, pharmacies and local services. 4, establishing a community hub. Create a multi-purpose community hub that can hold local events, workshops and support services. Provide spaces for youth activities, social gatherings and cultural initiatives. And 5, connecting key local services. Integrate with existing health centre, veterinary clinic and dentist into the redevelopment plan to ensure easy access for all residents. and to facilitate improved coordination between local services to enhance community wellbeing. Local councillors, residents and businesses believe that a well-planned redevelopment of Fairwater Square will create a welcoming and functional space that serves the needs of the entire South West Cumbrian community. We urge Cumbrian Futures Board, Torfaen County Borough Council and partners to take action now and to prioritise the transformation of the Fairwater Square for a safer, more accessible and thriving future for the wellbeing of our communities.
Thank you, Mr Marco-Jones. Members, do you agree that this petition be sent to the relevant member in the absence of Joe Gordon? I'll ask the leader to accept the petition. We're all in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Mark, if you'd like to present it to the leader. Thank you. Thank you very much. That takes us to agenda item 7, public question time. There is one public question today from Leslie Gwillan, who would like me to ask the question on their behalf. And the question reads, Rule 243 of the Highway Code says do not stop or park at or near a bus stop. The council has recently spent over £68,000 putting up new posts and signs at bus stops that state no stopping except buses. What was the purpose of installing these new posts and signage when these bus stop areas are clearly marked in yellow on the road surface? Surely this £68,000 could have been spent on something much more worthwhile. And this is to be answered by Councillor Amanda Owen. Welcome back, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you for the question, Mr Gwillan, that raises an important issue about supporting public transport provision in Torfaen. Public transport supports those communities without access to private motor vehicles, linking communities to areas of employment, health service, education and leisure opportunities. In addition, reducing the use of private motor vehicles helps to improve the quality of our environment, all of which are key contributors to our wider Marmot objectives. Obstructing bus stops and lay-bys prevent passengers from safely accessing and exiting the bus services, some of which are elderly, disabled, vulnerable or accompanying young children. A review of our bus stops revealed that a significant number required upgrades before they can be enforced by the parking enforcement team. Many were missing the necessary signage as specified by the Department of Transport, which must be displayed in a prominent position, hence the need for signage to be erected on the post. Once our camera car is deployed, it will make enforcement of bus stops, school keep clear markings and other loading restrictions so much more efficient, and will hopefully encourage our motorists to park in a considerate and safe location and hopefully to follow the highway code as well. I just want to be clear that we're not making money from parking fines. We wish to encourage considerate behaviour from motorists. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That takes us to agenda item 8, which is the announcements from the leader. Leader, do you have any announcements, please?
Yes, thank you, Presiding Member. First of all, as councillors will know, the suffragettes played a significant role in securing the right to vote for women under the Representation of People Act in 1918. The Act allowed women over 30 who met certain property qualifications or were married to a man who did to vote. However, it was another 10 years in the passing of the Equal Franchise Act in 1928 before women had an equal basis to vote. With the right to vote also came the right to stand as a candidate. So I'm pleased to note that 97 years later we have far more women involved in Council, a woman in charge of this meeting and a 50-50 cabinet. So today, to celebrate the passing of the second Act, we wear our rosettes and sashes to remember the work and commitment of the suffragettes to ensure future generations of women had their voice heard. Secondly, I wanted to extend my thanks and congratulations to the pupils of Cumbrian High School who gave an impressive presentation to myself, the Presiding Member, Deputy Leader and Deputy Chief Executive last week on Fairwater Shops. It was an impressive and informative presentation, and I hope to work with those pupils to take their ideas forward. Next, I want to congratulate Ysgol Bryn Onyn, who recently celebrated their 30th anniversary as a Welsh medium school. Their celebrations included a party at the school with past pupils and parents. We recently announced that the school would be benefiting from a multi-million-pound refurbishment, which is due to start next year. I'm also pleased to say that Estin have recently reported that the school has made good and sustained progress against previous recommendations and has therefore been removed from monitoring. Next, the Council has been working closely with St Peter's and a variety of local organisations to host a service to mark VJ Day and 80 years since the surrender of Japan and the end of the Second World War in the Pacific. The service will give us an opportunity to reflect with pride and respect the remarkable generation of men and women who helped secure our peace and freedom. The service is taking place on Friday the 15th of August at 7 p.m. at St Peter's Church in Blenavon. I promised in these announcements to celebrate sporting success in Torvine. This month I want to highlight Torvine Dolphins, who have gone from strength to strength in the past 4 years, winning numerous Swim Wales awards over this period and continuing to excel as one of the top performance programmes in Wales. This year they've got 10 swimmers competing in the GB Summer Nationals, which is their highest number of athletes to qualify in years. To give one individual example, Theodora Taylor continues to progress well, recently competing for Aquatics GB in the European Junior Championships in Slovakia. Thea competed in the 50 metres freestyle, not only achieving a silver medal, but a new Welsh senior record and a new British age group record in 25.1 seconds. Thea also competed in the 100 fly, making the semi-final, the 100 metre freestyle, narrowly placing 4th, and in the 100 metre breaststroke, placing bronze in a new PB of 1 minute and 8 seconds. Thea's versatility and ability to swim all strokes across various distances meant she was an invaluable member for all relays for both female and mixed events. The highlight of the swimming was the anchoring, the freestyle of the 4x100 mixed relay, where the British team not only won the event, but broke the European record in doing so. Thea has now been selected to compete for Aquatics GB in Romania in August at the Junior World Championships. So good luck to all the swimmers, and thank you to all those who give up their time to volunteer for the Dolphins. Next, I'd like to congratulate Ponyward Primary School on celebrating 70 years of existence on 23rd of June this year. Thank you to all involved in the school over those years for their hard work for pupils past and present. I'd also like to congratulate Inspirations Performing Arts Academy, who put on an on-Broadway show at Cwmbran Workingmen's Club on the 18th of July. The event was well attended and all money raised went to Samaritans. Next, I'm pleased to say that I recently opened the latest 3G sports pitches at Abersucken and Lantarn Primary Schools on the 4th and 15th of July, following a similar event in Trevethin in the spring. These new facilities can contribute to the County Plan Wellbeing Objective number 7, which aims to support and promote healthier lifestyles in Torvine and demonstrates the Council's commitment to providing improved sports facilities for the school and community. Both pitches were built by South Wales Sports Grounds to a high specification, being FIFA and World Rugby compliant, and are suitable for use for both schools and our local football and rugby clubs. Funding for the Abersucken pitch came from the UK Government's Shared Prosperity Fund, which we combined with a grant from the Cymru Football Foundation to deliver the facility. At the same time as building the pitch, the Shared Prosperity Fund enabled us to refurbish the old leisure centre, including changing rooms and the sports hall, and create a new dance studio for use for the school and community. These works were carried out by GKR, so thank you to them. We also work with the school and GKR to relocate and refurbish the learning resource base for our pupils with additional learning needs and transform the 4 old tennis courts into new netball courts for school and community use, 2 of which are now floodlit like the pitch. Funding for these base and netball courts has come from Welsh Government grants. The Lantarn project was delivered by combining funding from the Council, the UK Government Shared Prosperity Fund, the Cymru Football Foundation and Sports Wales. I'd like to thank all funders for their contribution in delivering these fantastic facilities. These projects were delivered by a combination of our services working together with the schools contractors, and I'd like to sincerely thank them for their efforts, including the Torvine and Blaenau and Gwent technical property teams, health, sports and fitness managers, and the education, SPF and finance teams, as well as local members across the different wards. In combination, these projects have delivered represent an investment in the school community of over £6 million. I hope the school and community will enjoy these facilities to the maximum. Lastly, I'd like to welcome Boyd Painter to the Chamber. Boyd is a member of our Torvine Youth Forum. He's just been made the youth representative on the board of Coleg Gwent and has come to give us a presentation this morning.
Good morning, councillors. Before I begin, I would like to express my thanks to my local councillors, Councillor Nick Hall and Councillor Janet Jones, for encouraging me to speak today about important issues facing my generation. In addition to that, I would also like to thank Council Leader Anthony Hunt for allowing me to speak in this meeting today. Councillors, I come to you today with a very simple and yet very important question. Are you doing enough to ensure that young people that you represent are involved in your decision-making, events, and your consideration of what your communities need? Now, I'm not here to give you the answers to that question. That's for you all to decide. But what I am here to do is to give you not just my opinion, but the opinion of young people, not just across Torfaen, but up and down the entire country. Young people are anxious about what will affect us in the future. Unemployment, lack of housing, ever-increasing living costs, to name a few, but one thing remains constant. The decisions that will affect our future are not being made by those who will have to live it. Councillors, how many times have you deliberated on issues to supposed problems facing young people without any actual young people being sat there in the room with you? Politics can be boring, we all know that, but it's so important to everybody's day-to-day lives. It's no wonder that young people are feeling vastly disillusioned with the political system of this country, its leaders and its representatives, because we don't feel like we have a seat at the table. We don't feel like we have a say. We feel overlooked, underestimated, disillusioned. I myself have recently been elected to serve on the Board of Governors for Coleg Gwent, where I study A-level politics, law and business. In September, I will represent over 20,000 young people across 5 campuses. Will I know what each of those young people have problems with? Their opinions, their wants, their needs? No, of course not. But will I try my best to include them in my decision-making to gather their ideas? Of course I will. This is what you all should be doing. Representing the many, not just the few. It's worth mentioning that young people aged 16 to 17 can vote in local council elections. They can vote for you. So why shouldn't you be doing everything you can to include them, listen to them and support them? Don't just take your party affiliation for granted. Opinions can change. We are looking to see who represents us the most. Not with hypothetical solutions, but with real examples of you actually striving to make a difference. Real change does not come from the actions of the national government, devolved assemblies, or regional councils. It comes from real people. Grassroots community action. In Wales, there are 737 local town councils. Under the 2011 Wales measure, only one of them has appointed youth representatives, and I'm proud to be one of the 2 youth representatives on Blaenavon Town Council. This means that across Wales, on a local level, my friend and I are the only youth representatives on one of those 737 town councils. This is where real change will be made. Local people standing up for local issues. This does show that progress is being made, but only one town council out of the 737, that progress is by far not coming fast enough. If you take one thing from what I've spoken about today, let it be this: give young people a chance. We want to be involved, included. We have ideas, but we need to be able to share them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Boyd. I'd like to quote something that was said to us at our presentation in the school, and it was, out of the young person's mouth, saying, young people have a loud voice, but we're not always listened to, but we listened in earnest this morning to Boyd, and I think that was excellent presentation. Thank you very much. Takes us to the next agenda item, which is the Chief... Oh, Leader, had you finished? Yes, thank you. Chief Executive, do you have any announcements, please?
Nothing to add today, Madam Presiding Member.
Thank you very much. That takes us to agenda item 14, which is the annual report, Governance and Audit Committee, starting on page 305 of your agenda. Mrs. Catherine Pegleton, Chair of Governance and Audit Committee, could you deliver this report for us, please? Welcome to Council again this morning. These years go by so quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everybody. I'm Catherine Pegleton, the Chair of Governance and Audit Committee. I've chaired this committee for the last 5 years, and I'm here today to present the annual report of the Governance and Audit Committee to you. This is only the second time this has been done, and I think it's useful to have this connection with you all, to raise the profile of the committee and to promote the work that we undertake. It is important that the Council has an independent Governance and Audit Committee that follows best practice. We're a committee of 8 members, 5 elected members and 3 lay members, of which I am one. We undertake training, attend all Wales networking events to ensure that we're up to date, and we abide by the Code of Conduct, the same as the elected members. Our primary role is to ensure full Council has assurance that governance, risk management and control systems are in place and are effective. Last year we met on 5 occasions. All our meetings were hybrid in nature, and we always have a monitoring officer present to support and advise us. Our meeting details are in 4.1 of the report. Various other officers and heads of department join us according to items on our agenda. Our last meeting in June, we had an update from the Chief Executive Officer about the collaboration with Blaenau Gwent Council, which we found very useful. The work we undertook from 2024 to 25 is shown in section 4.2 of the report, with more information on each section. As a committee, we continue to monitor and oversee the actions contained in reports for independent, internal and external auditors like Audit Wales, covering all council departments and contribute towards effective and reliable governance work of the council. We acknowledge that the work is ongoing and we will continue to monitor progress when needed. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the officers who have submitted reports, come along to our meetings with explanations and responded to questions from the committee members. I'd also like to thank Mr Peter Williams for his support in putting this report together. This has enhanced the understanding and the work of the committees. Thank you for listening. If there are any questions, I'll try and respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs Beckton. Any questions from any members? Councillor Peter Jones.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. I sit on the this particular committee, so I see its work firsthand. It's a really important committee because it gives the Council great reassurance that all our financial arrangements are correctly in place. What I'd like to do is particularly thank the lay members, Mrs Pegleton, Mr Rees and Mr Kelleher. It's really important that we have independent people looking at the work that we do. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for all the excellent work that goes on in this committee, and this is a nice report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Jones. Leader.
No, I'd also like to thank the Chair, members across party in the Chamber who sit on the committee, and also Peter and the officers who support the work. The key messages really sum it up. The importance of effective governance, internal control and risk management systems, and the assurance that the committee gives us in that respect. So I'd just like to thank them all for their work over the year.
Thank you, Leader. Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much. I'd like to echo those thanks very much, and thank you for coming year after year whilst you're in that chair and doing an excellent job. Thank you very much.
It's only the second time. Maybe I'll be back next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
All. Thank you.
Members, the recommendations are on page 310 of the report, Can I ask members whether they agree with those recommendations, please? Are there any members against those recommendations? Are there any abstentions? Thank you. That report is carried. Thank you very much, both. That takes us to agenda item 9, the County Plan Delivery Plan 2024-25 End of Year Update, which starts on page 41 of your agenda. I'd like to invite Councillor Peter Jones to introduce this report, please.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. Before I begin my introduction, I must record my thanks to all the officers involved in developing the report, which I'm sure you will appreciate is a significant piece of work. Members will be very familiar with the delivery plan, given the regular reports that have been provided since it was adopted in December 2022. As a council, we are committed to produce an annual delivery plan throughout its 5-year lifespan, and that progress against the plan is reported twice a year into full council. This report means we have now completed 3 years of the 5-year cycle for the plan. I am very pleased to report that progress is excellent. The report sets out the detail, and I will just cover off the key headlines. Against the milestones set out, 71.6% are reported as on target or completed, green and blue. 23.6% of actions experience some difficulties, but with a clear route back to being on track, amber, and 3.4% deemed as having more significant concerns, red. During the course of the year, 2 activities had to be aborted. I don't use the word excellent lightly, but as the report set out, the vast majority of the delivery plan is on target or has been successfully completed, and I am immensely proud of the services and officers from across the council who continue to deliver for the citizens of Torfaen. Although I can't go through all the service improvements in my introduction, I am sure Council will be pleased to note the success we've had during the year delivering. This includes the completion of the 50-place extension at Crown Bridge and the 3D pitch at Ysgol Cymru Gwynflew. And as the leader just said, for next year I'll be reporting on 2 more 3G pitches being delivered. Attainment above modelled expectations for in the CAP 9 measures and improved attendance across both primary and secondary schools. Delivering a number of training and employability schemes beyond our targets. Completing 40 low-carbon or zero-energy installations at community centres, sports clubs and business premises across Torfaen. Opening the new Pontypool and Newin railway station. Refurbished and upgraded Glenavon tennis courts. I could go on. Where we are not meeting expectations, I want to give all members the reassurance about targets we currently judge to be amber or red. The message here is that services are continually reviewing progress and that we are very carefully and regularly monitoring our performance through the Council's Executive Team and Policy Development Forum. Red or amber does not mean we are not going to deliver. We are going to deliver, but for assorted reasons it might not be as quick as we originally thought. Our targets are meant to be challenging, and if you monitor properly, you sometimes must adjust to ensure you achieve the outcomes you desire. Let me give you an example from my portfolio. The temporary closure of Cwmbran Library for refurbishment has meant lower visitor numbers as the facility was unavailable. Whilst the overall physical footfall will have an impact on the 24-25 county plan target about visitor numbers, I am pleased to report that since the reopening, physical footfall has returned to a high level. The closure of Cwmbran Library was strategic, setting the stage for long-term improvements. This included reconfiguring spaces for agile working and study, a new teenage library to encourage younger readers, designated health and well-being areas to integrate social support services, upgraded digital facilities to improve accessibility. This investment aligns with Torfaen's County Plan and Marmot Master Planning, ensuring libraries remain vital spaces for learning, engagement and social inclusion. The expectation is that post-renovation, visitor numbers and book issues will increase, reinforcing the library's role as a key community asset, and I'm happy to report that this is a case. Let us be clear here. When we agreed the target in 2022, we did not know our officers would have got the funding for a major refurbishment. I am incredibly grateful to them for this, and unlike other Welsh councils, we have improved our library services as a result. This library example demonstrates that even when a target is reported as red, it does not always mean there are significant concerns. I think that is enough from me today. As always, Cabinet colleagues and the senior leadership team are here to answer any questions that members wish to raise. I will now hand back to Madam Presiding Member. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Can I ask Stephen Vickers if you have anything to add to this report, please?
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. Good morning, councillors. Yeah, I'm conscious that Councillor Jones will have covered most of the ground regarding the report, so I'll just add a couple of points, if I may. Bringing this report to full council today continues to ensure that the council is transparent and accountable to our members and to the residents of Torvine. It's important to highlight that none of the progress detailed in the report would be possible without the combined effort and commitment and collaboration of everyone involved. Delivery of the county plan is truly a joint effort, drawing on the strengths, perspectives and dedication of council staff, elected members, community group partners and volunteers alike. Each contributor plays a vital role, ensuring that our shared goals are not only set but achieved and actively pursued through partnership and collective action. I think it is just worth reflecting that becoming the first Marmot Council in Wales is a significant milestone for the county. It signals our collective commitment to place health equity at the forefront of everything that we do and aligns perfectly with our county plan aspirations. This pioneering status will be advanced by another first for Wales, that being the progress on our federated partnership with Blaenau Gwent, where we're seizing opportunities to co-create solutions that deliver more meaningful and lasting change for residents across both of our counties. So this work will take us forward in the next year and actually beyond the county plan of 2027, and the development of a longer term master plan is something that I'll continue to engage with members on over the coming months. I'll just hand back to you now, Madam Presiding Member.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. Can I ask any members wishing to comment or ask questions? Councillor David Williams.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. I would echo some of the points that Councillor Jones has said. It was very positive to see the increase over the quarters for the completed actions, and I think that's obviously very noteworthy because it means we're able to track our progress and sort of see the positive things. I would note one or two other little points. Another example I felt where something that was still red but showing significant improvement was on page 71, looked after children, where we've actually seen a significant fall. And also, I was pleased to see the commentary in relation to some of those aborted actions, such as patch commissioning on page 79, and the rationale for that, and the fact that the market has changed. So I think it shows that responsiveness that's really important in any active plan. And similarly, on page 96, the safe routes to schools in communities for the fact that they weren't successful in the bid, and I would encourage the officers in terms of going forward for the bid in the future. I suppose my only other note would be that some of those things, such as library visits, are really not something we can directly control, useful to monitor, but I think we shouldn't beat ourselves over the head if we don't meet targets. And my final comment is that I think we could probably, at least in the headline of our report, make reference to that connection to Marmot, because I didn't actually see the word anywhere in the report, and yet it's something that we've seen as a positive and underpinning a lot of our county plan work. So those observations, Madam Presiding Member, are mine.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Sue Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. I wonder would the leader and the exec member who's presented the report agree with me that the whole county plan process is very much a living and ongoing process, and that while we are able to look back and look at the success of delivery. We're also very mindful of the current objectives. One example which I think is really worth highlighting today, one of our objectives in our current delivery plan would be to maximise funding opportunities for enhancing the local natural environment. And I'm sure members would agree with me in congratulating the team that has been successful in achieving over £800,000 worth of national lottery heritage funding under the Nature Towns and Cities grant programme in the last week or so. That news is very, very welcome, and it just goes to show the thread and the connection between county plan objectives and the work of our officers. That project and that bid were exceptionally good. Only two authorities, two areas in Wales received that funding, and I'd like to put on record my thanks to Rachel O'Shaughnessy and Veronica Branovich in particular for leading the team that put together that excellent bid. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sue Morgan. I'm sure the Council echoes your comments. Leader, did you wish to speak?
No, I just thank the members for their comments, which are obviously we will take account of. And as Sue Morgan said, this is a living document. I mean, when I made my introductory remarks, when I talked about the 3D pitch at the Welsh School, we've obviously moved ahead of that now, and next time I'll be reporting on Abersycon and Llantarnam. So, you know, this is a constant feast. We're moving forward all the time, and we're delivering.
Thank you. Anthony Hunt, you were...
Yeah, I just wanted to say that's a good example of the need for documents like this to give a sort of a thread of strategy and vision to the work we do as a council, but also to enable us to take up opportunities like that. And I would like to join Sue's congratulations of Rachel, Veronica and the team for the work they've done that will really benefit residents.
Absolutely, thank you. I don't see any other hands or anyone wishing to speak, so the recommendations are on page 45 of the report. Can I ask members whether they agree with those recommendations, please? Are there any members against the recommendations? Are there any abstentions? Thank you very much. That report is carried. Takes us to agenda item 10, which is the panel performance assessment, which starts on page 147 of the agenda. Stephen Vickers, Chief Executive, could you deliver this report for us, please?
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. So the Council was recently subject to a peer review known as a Panel Performance Assessment, or PPA, I'll refer to it from now. The PPA fieldwork took place in May 2025 and involved input from a wide variety of stakeholders, including officers, members and internal and external partners. PPA process is a statutory requirement under the Local Government and Elections Act 2021 and is designed to complement our own self-assessment approaches. Torvine's PPA can be broken into two parts. First, how well are we delivering against our statutory functions, i.e. to the extent to which the Council is exercising its functions effectively, using its resources economically, efficiently and effectively, and whether we have effective governance arrangements in place. Second, the Council developed its own scope with a focus on sustainability and our mission to tackle health inequality across our communities. The PPA also therefore considered our federated approach with Blaenau Gwent, the Marmot and communities approach, and our model for early intervention and prevention. The final report was received at the beginning of July and is presented for Council to note today. Council will be pleased to hear that the feedback from the panel was largely positive. The full findings are provided in the attached report and overall conclusions being set out in the executive summary in section 4 of the report. At the end of the fieldwork, the peer review team gave their preliminary feedback and were keen to express their view that the Council was in a very strong position, and as such the recommendations in this report should be seen as a way of building on our strengths and fine-tuning our approaches. The recommendations are set out on page 18 of the actual report. I'll hand back to you now, Madam Presiding Member. Happy to take questions, and I've got colleagues joining me today should there be any questions from Council.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. Are there any questions from anyone? Councillor Ron Burnett.
I've done as Nick, sorry. It's not a question at all. It's just to say, nice to hear the report. A lot of us were involved with it. A lot of positivity came out of it. And I'm just glad that we came up with flying colours.
Thank you, Councillor Burnett. Any other questions? Councillor Jane Watkin.
Again, it's not a question, it's a comment. It is notably a very positive report. I just picked out one of the things in there. I think it was very good that they recognised our ambitious and innovative vision to address a health inequality in the borough. Health issues can affect all aspects of someone's life. So the fact that they've recognised that we're trying to do something to deal with that, I think was very positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Watkins. Any other further comments? Councillor Anthony Hunt.
No, I think when we look at the panel performance assessment, I think it's important that we do have that external look into what's going on to sort of reflect back and make us consider what we can do better, what we can move forward on. But also it's welcome when they point out the work that we've done moving forward. So I'd like to thank those who came in and did the panel performance assessment. They gave us a good grilling across the week that they were here, asked us lots of questions, and I think that process is good for our ability to reflect on what we're doing. But I very much welcome the conclusions that they drew from that work and look forward to taking a lot of the work that's mentioned forwards.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Dave Williams.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. It's just really that, I think that one of the recommendations echoes the comment I made around the county plan, Marmotton communities. So I think it reinforces that point.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or queries? I can't see any. Thank you very much. The recommendations are on page 151 in your agenda. Can I ask members whether they agree with these recommendations then, please? Thank you. Are there any members against the recommendations? I don't see any. Are there any members that would wish to abstain from them? Thank you. That report is noted and carried. That takes us to agenda item 11, which is the Treasury Management Activities 24-25, which starts on page 173 of your agenda. Can I ask Andrew Lovegrove, Strategic Director Resources, to deliver this report, please?
Thank you, Madam Presiding Members, and good morning, Council. This is part of an annual report to yourselves explaining how we have acted about Treasury Management on behalf of the Council. It's part of the open and transparency agenda to make sure that you're fully aware of what's been going on with the public money that we're entrusted with. I'm pleased to be able to confirm that we've complied with all prudential indicators for 24-25, and we've continued to take a cautious approach with the Council's borrowing and investment strategies. As the report says, on the April the 1st, 2024, we had to comply with a new accounting standard. This is a technical accounting standard about how we report activity on the balance sheet to do with leased assets. It doesn't have an impact on the revenue budget for the Council, but I'm happy to confirm we have complied with it, and it's in the draft accounts that are currently being audited by Audit Wales. There's been some changes in the Bank of England base rate over the 24-25, and as you can see, that we've had a stepping down in that interest rate. We've managed the investments we have and our borrowings to make sure that we've maximised the benefit from those changes. During 24-25, the Council spent about £41 million on the capital programme. That was mainly on schools, the 3G pitches that we've heard of before, and the community farm. The Council has been successful in managing its cash flow requirements throughout the year and retaining its MiFID II professional status for investments. This is an important situation for the Council. It enables us to invest the Council money to get the best possible rates. As I said, we've maximised investment returns and managed the borrowing portfolio in a manner that's kept interest rates to the cost we pay as low as possible without locking into higher long-term borrowing rates, while interest rates are still on quite a high side. Looking to the future, we will carry on monitoring the interest rate movements and seek to reduce the level of temporary borrowing only when it becomes appropriate and cost-effective to do so. Thank you, Madam Presiding Member.
Thank you, Andrew. Any further comments? Councillor David Williams.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. Obviously, As we've heard earlier, the Governance and Audit Committee had the opportunity to scrutinise this in some detail and go through, and I think that was a very helpful process. I would also note that I think it's actually very positive that we've seen the actuals fall below the estimates often, so we haven't seen an escalation and an overspend, which could be a significant risk for the Council. So I think that's down to excellent management. But also, as has been noted in the previous item, we've actually managed to deliver.
Thank you. Any further comments? Can't see any. The recommendations are on page 180 of the report. Members, do you agree with these recommendations, please? Thank you. Are there any members against the recommendations? Any abstentions? That report is carried. Thank you very much. Takes us to agenda item 12, which is the Torfaen LDP Supplementary Planning Guidance, which starts on page 181 of your agenda. Adrian Wilcock, Team Leader, Planning, Policy and Implementation. Could you deliver this report for us, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Presiding Member. Supplementary Planning Guidance, SPGs, provide the detailed requirements of the policies within our adopted Torfaen Local Development Plan. From time to time, officers bring new, revised or updated SPGs before Council for approval, consultation or adoption. The report before you today is seeking approval to adopt the updated Planning Obligations SPG Annex 1 on affordable housing attached to Appendix 1 of this report. The SPG has been updated with factual, not policy-based changes that reflect the recent publication of the 2023 Torfaen Local Housing Market Assessment, updated Welsh Government guidance on the cost of providing affordable housing, and an updated social rented tariff, which is the price a registered social landlord pays the developer for the social rented affordable housing units on the sites, and the increase reflects recent Welsh Government increases in rents, which is effectively how the price is calculated. Such updates are normally approved by the Head of Planning and Development under delegated powers from Council. However, that post no longer exists, so the report alternatively recommends that the Team Leader Planning, Policy and Implementation be given the same delegated powers to make any necessary factual updates to all adopted SPGs going forward. Finally, the recommendations of the report are on page 185. Thank you, Presiding Member.
Thank you, Adrian. Any comments or questions? I don't see any. Members? Oh, apologies. David Williams, Councillor David Williams.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. I think it was a very clear and succinct report, set out the detail effectively and sensible and pragmatic, so I would very much look to endorse those recommendations.
Very much. Any further comments? No? Thank you very much. Then, members, do you agree with the recommendations? Thank you. Are there any members against the recommendations? Are there any members wishing to abstain? That report is carried. Thank you, Adrian. Takes us to agenda item 13, which is the Wales Pension Partnership Local Government Pension Scheme Fit for Future business case on page 203 in your agenda. Councillor Nathan Yowell, the Chair of Pensions Committee, could you introduce this report for us, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Morning, everyone. I'm going to make some brief introductory remarks about this item before handing over to Andrew Lovegrove and to Alex Bull to talk you through the substance of the report. So we're here today to present agenda item 13 on the future of the Wales Pension Partnership and the Greater Gwent Pension Fund's role within it. This follows the UK Government's Local Government Pension Scheme Fit for the Future consultation, which was launched last July and came out with its recommendations earlier on this year, which mandates significant reforms to how the local government pension scheme assets are managed. It presents a significant vote of confidence, I think, in the general direction of travel taken by the Greater Gwent Pension Fund over the past 4 years, and heralds a new phase in collaboration between the 8 Welsh pension funds that came together to create the Wales Pension Partnership in 2017. We're seeking your approval today to create a new investment management company to ensure compliance with these reforms and secure the long-term sustainability and the autonomy of the Welsh funds. As you know, matters relating to the Greater Gwent Fund are delegated to the Torfaen Pension Committee, but certain decisions affecting the local government pension scheme are reserved matters and as such require council approval. The significance of the reform proposals necessitates full council approval before we can proceed with the formation of the proposed investment management company. As members know, we've already provided the opportunity to discuss at a member seminar, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and also for the record I'd like to say that the leader, the Chief Exec and I have met with the leaders and chief officers from the other local authorities that comprise the Greater Gwent Fund to keep them completely abreast of what we're suggesting. The report and its appendices provide a very extensive background to the workings of the Wales Pension Partnership and its history, along with detailed proposals for implementing key reforms outlined by the government. Andrew and Alex will present further details of the business case submission to the government. They're ready to take questions on the substance of the report. If anyone has any political points they would like to raise, I'm happy to respond. If you could refer to page numbers in any questions that you have, we'd all be grateful. Before I do hand over to both Andrew and Alex, I want to stress what these reforms do not mean. The government is not proposing any changes to the benefit structure of the local government pension scheme, so scheme members and existing pensioners will not be affected. We are not advocating any change to the benefits that our current and former staff receive. And 2, while the government seeks to rationalise local government pension scheme investment asset management, there is no suggestions that these reforms will impact upon the administrative authorities in the day-to-day administration of the scheme by us here at Torfaen and the other authorities across England and Wales. The proposals represent a once-in-a-generation opportunity to shape a Welsh-led investment future, safeguarding pensions, supporting local growth and strengthening governance. I would like to put on record my thanks to the officers. This has been a phenomenal piece of work over the past 10 months, but also I'd like to thank the very many members of this council who have served upon the Pension Committee over the years. It is not always the easiest of committees to navigate, so I would like to thank members for their commitment and continued good humour as we work out exactly what we're trying to do. So I commend the recommendations to Council and welcome your support. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Alex, who I think is going first.
Thanks, Madam Presiding Member, and thank you, Councillor Yule. So good morning, Councillors. Just by way of a brief introduction, my name's Alex Bull, and I'm the head of the Greater Gwent Pension Fund. So for those who are not aware, that the fund is administered by Torfaen County Borough Council, but effectively represents the 5 big Gwent local authorities and around 50 other employers in the scheme, which include the likes of housing associations, leisure trusts, town and community councils, etc. The fund has got about 67,000 members, broadly split between sort of a third of those are actively working today, a third of deferred benefits in the scheme that will be entitled to at retirement, and a third are in receipt of pension. We've got about £4.5 billion of scheme member money that is invested and managed day to day and is directed via a strategic allocation by the Pensions Committee. As Councillor Yule, the Chair of the Pension Committee, has commented in his opening remarks, the focus and the substance of this item today is solely on the way in which that £4.5 billion, alongside the sort of £25 billion in aggregate across Wales, is managed in the long term. I appreciate this is an extensive report with a lot of appendices and content. I don't propose to cover all of that detail this morning, but if I may, I'll just cover in a couple of minutes the sort of timeline of events to date, focusing on really what we're asking of Council in the form of the recommendations. And I think in the key messages on page 203, you can see that, in essence, we're asking councillors to note the future business case submission, approve the formation of a corporate entity. So this will be an FCA-regulated investment management company, which will manage that £25 billion of investments on behalf of the 8 Welsh administering authorities for the pension fund. To approve the revised business plan for the Wales Pension Partnership and budget that relates to that for 25-26, and in essence delegate back via both the Strategic Director of Resources and the Pensions Committee, who have delegation for pension fund matters, as was mentioned earlier, to take the final sort of stage 2 go-live approvals, if you like. So just by way of talk through some of the timeline of events, I think with reference to page 206 to 207 of your pack, the government launched its Fit for Future consultation. This is a significant piece of reform that is coming forward. Prior governments had looked to introduce some of this, but the current government have looked to do that via legislation. The kind of three key areas of those reforms that affect the way in which we currently operate is that they would like to see all of the LGPS asset pools, and by way of explanation, historically there are 86 or 87 administering authorities, so 86 or 7 councils that manage investments on behalf of their respective regions. Going back to 2016-17, there was a decision to rationalise the way those were managed into pools. So there were 8 asset pools across England and Wales that managed that sort of 350 billion of assets in total. The idea being that with more economies of scale, you can generate efficiencies and access parts of the investment markets that maybe would be more difficult in isolation. So the current proposals that have come forward in the last sort of 6 to 8 months is that the way in which those asset pools operate need to be effectively professionalised, and by doing so, the government expect all of those pools to now be fully regulated by the FCA. That's a big step change for the way in which Wales has managed its own arrangements since 2016-17, and I can talk to some of that detail in a second. The other 2 areas from the consultation is about boosting investment in local regions. Everybody will be familiar with the push for greater inward investment into the UK. One way in which to tackle that is to use pension fund investment, obviously sensible investments, credible opportunities, but where these are long-term commitments and patient investment capital, I suppose. So this is an idea that has been developing over a number of years, and actually the Greater Gwent Fund has been on the front foot in terms of making some of those investments. But as a result of this consultation, there's a greater mandate and a push to see that more targeted and more concentrated in regions. And the final big sort of piece of reform is around the internal governance of how the schemes are managed and invested. So I've got a team of 30 people that manage both the investments and the administration, the day-to-day benefits, ultimately here to pay pensions, and the way in which we do that needs to be sort of enhanced through training and knowledge, improving good governance, and ensuring that there's suitable seniority within the fund to make proper decisions in consultation with members. That consultation closed in January, and within the appendices there are copies of both the Gwent Pension Fund's response and the Wales Pension Partnership. I don't propose to go to the detail, but just to note that generally very supportive of the direction of travel, save for some concerns around more practical concerns, I suppose, but generally comfortable with the direction of travel. I should have also said at this stage that prior to this report to Council today, this has gone via both the Pensions Committee and a local pension board. The local pension board does not have a decision-making function, but is effectively an oversight and scrutiny body that is there to ensure that the scheme works for both the scheme employers and the members. So what you see today has gone through that proper process on the way. Page 208 refers to the business case. So alongside the consultation, the government asked for a detailed submission from each of the 8 existing asset pools as to how they would either reform and continue to work towards those 3 key reforms I've just described, or explore a merger with another existing pool of investment capital elsewhere in the UK. Obviously, LGPS is not a devolved matter for Welsh Government, it's a UK Government matter, but the UK Government, that is, did recognise in particular the devolved nature of Wales. So it was recognised that there are sort of the corporate joint committees within the region that we may want to utilise and work with and partner with to support that local investment in particular. In essence, Wales, through a combination of officers, members and the support of our advisors, made a clear decision that retaining that sovereignty and building a regulated investment pool as opposed to merging with an alternative was a preferred route forward. That was unanimously supported by the joint committee of the Partnership, Pensions Committee, and, as I say, supported and endorsed by the local pension board. We discounted the option of a merger largely on the grounds of cost. The 25 billion of assets that exist today, there was an estimated cost of around 45 million to transition those assets into another arrangement versus retain our own approach and build for what we have with a focus on Wales. So finance and cost was one of the key rationale and reasons for that. Just to say that the business case was ambitious. This isn't about kind of continuing with the minimum criteria, if you like. We are ambitious. We're looking to not only deliver on the mandate of government, but to try and find a way to make this a once-in-a-generational opportunity for Wales. It's almost certain that this organisation will have a headquarters within Wales, likely somewhere in Cardiff. It will be employing, and there will be more skilled jobs that will be created. But alongside that, we would expect significant flows of investment capital over time into credible investment opportunities that will boost growth, create well-paid jobs, and address things such as the climate emergency and develop renewable energy infrastructure. That submission was, say, an extensive document worked together. Very pleasing to say that the government approved that on the 9th of April 2025, so in fairly recent times. It should be said that of the 8 pools, only 6 received the green light to proceed. 2 across England have been told they have to find an alternative home via a merger. So we don't take that for granted and are focused on the next stage of the development, which is to build the investment management company and have that operational by April 2026. I think really just to note a couple of final points, and this is focusing on the reason why this is presented to Council today. At the bottom of page 210, we note the WPP annual business plan for 25-26. This, in all prior years, is a fairly standard business plan document. It is usually approved or considered and approved by the Pensions Committee. Due to the significance of the reforms and the need to build an investment management company, the budget for the forthcoming year is significantly higher. In instances where that budget exceeds 30% of original forecast, that is a reserved matter back to Council. Hence, we are seeking approval today from Council to approve that budget. And just in terms of what that looks like, we're anticipating just short of £3 million in the 25-26 financial year to build this company, get it off the ground. The bulk of that cost relates to staff. As you can imagine, a highly regulated entity such as this, with responsibility for £25 billion of investment capital, requires senior individuals, not necessarily local government workers, but industry professionals that the FCA will personally vet, and that requires quite significant compensation. The other aspect, alongside staffing costs, is the need and the necessity for external consultancy support in things such as legal advice, but also advice in how we navigate and overcome the regulatory aspect. So dealing with the FCA is quite a high, it is obviously of great importance, but also of high risk if that falls short and we don't receive the approval. For what it's worth, we don't anticipate that being the case, but the advice is necessary to support us through that process. So that is the business plan. I think the final point I would make, and this is at sort of the middle of page 211, focuses on the go-live approval. So the appendices cover a lot of the detail and the work that is going on to date. The expectation is this company will be up and running by April 2026. That is the mandate of government, and we're working hard to ensure we can meet that deadline. Today, subject to Council approval of these recommendations, is a significant milestone to us making progress with this project, but there will be a sort of second stage go-live approval, if you like, which is anticipated around Christmas time. But given that the Pensions Committee have delegated responsibility for the Greater Gwent Pension Fund, we expect that report, that significant report, will go back to Pension Committee as opposed to Council for those sort of operational approvals later in the year. I'll pause there, Madam Presiding Member, for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Alex. Councillor Anthony Hunt, the leader.
Thank you, Presiding Member, and thank you to Nathan and Alex for that introduction. Can I welcome this report and the recommendation on page 212? And in doing so, can I thank Nathan and Alex for their leadership on this issue? It's good that Torvine is recognised as a leading voice in pensions, not just across Wales, but beyond as well. I think this approach strikes the right balance between the need for scale and professionalism against the costs and issues of going beyond Wales. So I think it gets the right balance there. But most importantly today, I think it's important to remember that this is, at the end of the day, is about the pension scheme members. A vast majority of those members are council staff who are on the front line in our schools, in social care, and in running the vital local services that we all rely on. They are modestly paid and have seen their pay eroded compared to other sectors over the last 15 years. So it's important, I think, to remember that the pension scheme is primarily about a safe retirement for those local community stars. So apologies to Alex and to Nathan where I've badgered on this issue. I think it's right that these things are dealt with independently, although our input on the principles of invested are valid on ethical environmental concerns, but also on the investment strategy and the needs of UK infrastructure. But we must never forget, over and again, that the first duty of the pension scheme is to deliver the retirement of our hard-working staff.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Stuart Ashley, then Councillor Alan Slade.
I was just asking if we're setting up a separate body, the sustainability principles which you alluded to there, and just how firmly, and I also agree with the leader about our staff and that the fact that pensioners are important and people that are modesty. I totally agree with that. The whole principle of the sustainability, how is that baked in?
I think I have Councillor Alan Slade's question as well. Councillor Alan Slade.
Yes, thank you. A couple of questions, really. On page 304, the ministerial letter, there's a paragraph which says, we have concluded that proposals from some pools do not meet the requirements set out by government. I wonder if you could just give us a bit more information on that, why they haven't met the requirements. My other question is, I think I heard that this might cost of another £3 million. Were we given any sort of financial support from either Westminster or the Senedd towards that cost?
Thank you, Councillor Slade. Alex?
Thanks for the questions, members. I'll take the first, if you don't mind. So the first question was around the sustainability principles. I think one thing I haven't necessarily covered in detail here is that whilst the investment management arrangements are moving to a new regulated investment management company, the local authority, the administering authority, i.e. Torvine Council in this instance, and the Pensions Committee will retain full autonomy over its investment strategy. In other words, the objectives around how it wants to manage those investments, things such as its responsible investment priorities. It is the view that the investment management company will work for those local authorities who will be effectively wholly owned shareholders of this new company. So the regulatory nature of this new entity means that the governance will be effectively strengthened. The relationship between company and the councils will be binding via a shareholder agreement, which will be very detailed sort of in terms of transparency and ultimately accountability. So I would hope, and my strong expectation as we navigate the sort of next 6 months, is that from a sustainability perspective, the views and the expectations and the objectives of this authority alongside its colleagues will very much be, will form how that company operates long term. In terms of Councillor Slade's second question about budget, I think maybe the Chair of the Pension Committee might take the first one on the letter, but budget, so there hasn't been any sort of offer from central government to support costs in navigating this process. £3 million is a significant amount of money. I appreciate that. What I would stress is it's in the context of the way in which pension funds operate, a sort of £25 billion operation. This is a manageable cost, I would say, and one that we would expect to recover over time as the efficiencies of this new entity play out in practice. Admittedly, that is a longer-term gain. And just to stress, and for the benefit of all members,
all pension fund costs sit within the pension fund itself, not the general fund of the council. So whilst these costs are significant, the pension fund will retain and own those costs, and there will be no impact on Torfaen County Borough Council as a result of the change.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And just to come back to that, Alan is a much missed member of the pension committee, but just to underline here, I mean, the fact that we have to set up the investment management company as a standalone institution, that will mean that the current, for those of you who've been unlucky enough not to sit on the committee, most of the management of our investments are currently run by independent investment management companies who obviously the WPP pays directly. There will be a period of migration from going when all our investments are essentially managed externally to us in-housing some of that. So I think the 3 million is a considerable sum of money, but it will actually work its way out over the first couple of years as we have more staff in-house. On the question about the letters, Alan, there are currently 8 pension pooling arrangements across England and Wales. All 8 came forward with a separate business plan to continue essentially in some way or shape, as they currently are. Of those 8, the government approved 6 of the plans, but 2 of the plans, including in the southwest, with the Brunel pension pool, but then also a pension pool called Access, which is essentially a number of county council-based pension funds in the southeast. They were both rejected. The business case for both of those pools was rejected by the government, and the government has given them until September this year, which is quite punchy, to come forward with a plan to merge with one of the remaining 6 pools. Essentially, we are not being approached by either of these 2. There is an argument to say that, a bit like the old bus company and ITV stations, a West and Welsh mash-up might actually make some sense from a geographic point of view, but Wales has been allowed to stand on its own 2 feet purely because we have a devolved administration, and there is a recognition that Wales as an autonomous unit has merit. If we were to start having open conversations with the pool next door about them joining in, we lose the defining feature that has allowed us to stay on our own 2 feet. So we've ended up being quite lucky. We can crack on with this one. Both Access and Brunel are currently, their futures are uncertain, but they need to wind up their existing arrangements and join with one of the remaining, what is now 5 English-based pools. So that's the reason why 2 of them were rejected.
I'm just a little confused then, because you seem to be saying that the 2 that were refused were English counties, yet this letter was addressed to the Welsh counties, if you like, or the Welsh pension committees. Seems a bit confused.
In case I've picked up the wrong end of the stick, I'm going to let Alex reply to that.
So just to confirm, so this letter was the version that was sent to the West Pension Partnership, but there was an equivalent that was sent to the other 7 regional pools. So it was just a general note at the foot of the letter that just confirms the situation in terms of the way government have assessed those 8 business case submissions, of which 6 were successful and 2 were not.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't see any further questions, queries or hands. So I'll take members to the recommendations, which is on 212 of the report. Members, do you agree with these recommendations? Are there any members against the recommendations? And any abstentions? Thank you. That report is carried. That takes us to agenda item 16, which is motions on notice. There are no motions on notice this morning, I should say. So we'll move on to agenda item 17, which is the members' question time. There are 2 members' questions today, and the first one is from Councillor Nick Haller to Councillor Anthony Hunt.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Leader, will TBC be introducing the new tourist tax the Welsh Government has approved on the 8th of July? Whilst the early introduction of the levy of the tax potentially starts on April 27, it would be good to understand TBC's position.
Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Haller. Torfaen Council will follow the process set out by Welsh Government. When the bill receives royal assent, the first stage of that will be to run a consultation process to get the views of the sector in Torfaen.
Thank you. The second question is Councillor Janet Jones, and it was to Councillor Joe Gordon, but she's not here. So I think Councillor Hunt is taking this.
Madam, I think Councillor Hall wanted to come back in with a supplementary. No, thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Over the years, we've accepted that the Blaenavon Heritage Centre has been closed on Monday, with the exception of a bank holiday. But even this has changed over the past few months. As we are trying to encourage more tourists to visit Torvine's iconic landscapes, why is this facility, which is also an information centre, remaining closed? I can probably accept early closures during the winter months, but not what is technically the tourist season from Easter to the end of October. Is the centre closed as a result of budget restraints?
Thank you, Councillor Janet Jones. Councillor Anthony Hunt.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. I've got a response that Councillor Gordon has written out for me, so apologies if I'm reading it off the sheet, but I want it to be accurate to the response that she's written for me. Thank you for your question, Councillor Jones, and it's right to question the closure of the World Heritage Centre on bank holidays Mondays, given that the centre sits at the centre of tourist attractions, which builds footfall in the town and grows the economy. St Peter's Hall was restored to be the perfect central location for a visitor centre at the heart of the World Heritage Site. The centre boasts information on the World Heritage Site, hosts exhibitions of local history and signpost visitors to local attractions. The Front Row Cafe is a popular asset within the Heritage Centre, with a food and drink offer and space for locals to meet, as well as tourists to rest. Recent experience has demonstrated that visitor numbers at the Blaenavon World Heritage Centre have been low on the occasions when the centre has been open on bank holiday Mondays. Our staff are not contracted to work on Mondays, and the centre not being open on bank holidays has therefore been due to practical and pragmatic reasons, not as a result of budget constraints. The Blaenavon World Heritage Centre has a key role to play within the wider suite of World Heritage Site attractions in and around Blaenavon. With that in mind, officers are in the process of reviewing the operational plan to ensure the centre remains fit for purpose for the future. A key objective of that review will be to consider opportunities to increase the centre's footfall and visitor appeal going forward. Future opening hours and days, including bank holidays and Mondays, will therefore be one of the key areas being considered. Once a draft operational plan is available, local members and stakeholders will be consulted for your views to help shape the final plan.
Thank you. Can I come back in, please?
Certainly, Councillor Jones.
Over recent weeks, I personally have experienced and witnessed lots of visitors attempting to get into the centre. The gates remain closed. And whilst the notice board accessing Church Road shows forthcoming events, it doesn't show the opening hours. So this really is disappointing when we expect experienced visitors. So I would like this to be taken forward in the review, that we could consider these additional items, please. Thank you.
Leader.
I'll make sure those comments are fed in and you have the opportunity, all three Blaenavon members have the opportunity to feed into that review.
Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much. That concludes question times. Agenda item 18 is the Cabinet decisions, which are for the 8th of the 7th, 2025, which is on page 315 of the Council's agenda. This is for members to note. There were no challenges of any decisions. Can I ask members, is there any comments or queries? I can't see any. Members agree with these recommendations then, please? Thank you. Any members against the recommendations? Any abstentions? Sorry, Councillor Matthews, your hand was up still. It was remained up. So that concludes the vote. That's unanimous to note. Thank you. The next date and time of next meeting, for your information, members, is the 16th of September at 10 a.m. Thank you, members. That concludes the meeting. Have a very good summer and get some valued family time. Thank you.